אני שמח מאוד לארח היום, ביומו הראשון של שבוע הקניינים, את סגן הנשיא הבכיר של המעבדה הגמולוגית האמריקאית GIA, ידידנו תום מוזס. בחודשים האחרונים אנחנו חווים ביחד עם ה-GIA את פרשת החשדות לטיפול ביהלומים, שכתוצאה ממנה ניתנו דוחות דירוג שגויים ליהלומים שהוגשו למעבדה. לא זכור לי תקדים להתגייסות כה מסיבית למאבק בחשדות כגון אלה. ה-FBI, משטרת ישראל וגורמי חקירה נוספים מעורבים בחקירת הפרשה. החקירה לא פשוטה, ועם זאת אני משוכנע שתוך זמן לא רב נוכל לקבל מסקנות חד משמעיות. אין ספק שהדבר חיוני להמשך העבודה הסדירה של כולנו. לשבחו של תום מוזס יש לומר שהוא מעולם לא התחמק מהופעה לפני הנהלת הבורסה או ציבור החברים. כך גם במשבר זה, ועל כך מגיעות לו תודות. תום מוזס הוא ידיד של התעשייה שלנו, ואנו משוכנעים שהוא לא יניח לעניינים עד שיתבהרו לחלוטין. החשדות שעלו ב-GIA הגיעו לאחר שעברנו טלטלה לא קלה בעולם המעבדות הגמולוגיות, שגרמו לסגירתה של מעבדה שפעלה שלא בהתאם לציפיות שלנו. ובאחרונה מתגבשים בישראל כללים מנחים שיחייבו את כל המעבדות הפועלות בארץ, ואני משוכנע שהדברים יעלו על מסלול תקין. על אף שהתכנסנו כאן כדי לשמוע דברים בנושא גמולוגיה, אני חייב להזכיר את ההסתבכויות העסקיות שחווינו לאחרונה. אני מבטיח לכם באופן חד משמעי, שהנהלת הבורסה בראשותי נוקטת יד קשה וחזקה בכל מקרה ההסתבכויות האחרונים והשלכותיהם. אנחנו לא נרתעים מעירובו של כל גורם רלוונטי לחקירת האמת, בין אם בנוגע למסתבכים עצמם, ובין אם בנוגע לאנשים שהפיקו רווחים לא ראויים מהמקרים האלה, אם אכן היו. לא תהיינה הנחות. אנחנו ננקוט יד קשה הרבה יותר מבעבר, והדברים ייבדקו בצורה יסודית. והדברים ייבדקו וכבר נבדקים בצורה יסודית. אני מבטיח לכם שגישה הזאת תהיה בבחינת סדין אדום שירתיע כל מסתבך פוטנציאלי. ועתה ברשותכם כמה מילים באנגלית. Our dear friend Mr. Tom Moses, welcome to the Israel Diamond Exchange. As I told our guest in Hebrew, for many years we have considered you a great friend of the Israel diamond industry. The relationship between the GIA and the Israeli diamond industry has become increasingly close. The best testimony to this being your recent decision to expand the GIA laboratory in Israel. We congratulate you on your move to much more spacious offices and the considerable expansion of the number of gemologists providing services to the Israeli diamanters. Thank you, Tom, for your cooperation. We know that your relationship with us comes from the heart. This is an opportunity for us to also thank the director of the GIA lab in Israel, Gabriel Lyon, who has done so much to make the lab a part of the life of the Israel diamond industry. He is even learning Hebrew in order to communicate directly with the Israeli diamanters. However, it seems the good is always accompanied by some shadow of some type. Whether we like it or not, we need to bring a swift solution to the problem involving the suspected treatments that led to the incorrect grading of some diamonds. I applaud the FBI and the Israeli police for taking this investigation very seriously. We in Israel have cooperated fully with the investigation, and we all want to get the truth out of the matter. I'm grateful to you, Tom, for attending the International Diamond Week. It is an honor for us to open the week with the GIA event. I would like to thank you and wish us continued success together in Israel. Thank you all very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a privilege for me to be back, and I thank you, Mati and Shmuel, for inviting me. I will have to, unlike Shmuel, I'll have to do the reverse, indulge you to listen to me in English. If the presentation was in Hebrew, it would be very short. So I also wanted to take a moment and I thank you, Shmuel, for recognizing Gabriel in the expansion. we're very excited about that, and to be able to grade more and more stones locally and hopefully grow the business together. And I also wanted to recognize a couple of my colleagues who are with me, Matt Crimmen, who Gabriel reports to. Matt oversees Israel and South Africa and Botswana labs. Jennifer Wilson, our corporate counsel, and Judy Schechter from our education is here looking at more opportunities for us to have more education in Israel. So it's great. We're all here together, and again, we thank you for the invitation. I was talking with Shmuel a little bit before the presentation, and I'm going to borrow some of that. And you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but you talked about the times when, at difficult times, when your site holder and De Beers used the term we're in challenging times. So we are in challenging times. You all know it more than I do, but it's the time I think that we do have to stick together, work harder, and work our way through it. When we are in times like this, we forget that we've been in times like this in the past, and we do have to work through them. So I'm going to talk about quickly 4 things today. I know you're all busy, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but you know, synthetic diamonds, again, is one of those challenges. But it's something that you know, we have to face. It's not going to go away, and I bring up these newspaper clippings that look like they could come out, you know, something that we'd see recently, but I actually took these from the GIA archives, and this was published in the New York Times and the London Times both in 1955. So this was right after General Electric's announcement of synthetic diamond. Of course, at that time it wasn't gem quality, but I think as GIA, certainly we've been following this issue and working closely to be able to identify synthetic diamonds for that long. As I said, this isn't something we're going to turn back the clock. It's technology. It's going to be with us, and I think we're going to have to find a way to coexist. I'm confident that we will, as long as we maintain discrimination. When one looks at historically at other gem materials that have been synthesized, some of them in the markets for more than 100 years, they clearly have developed separate paths, separate markets, and the natural product was never undermined. But key is, of course, identification and disclosure. I'm just going to give a brief overview, a little bit about diamonds, diamond type, and because I'm sure it's a review for some of you, but for others who hear these terms from time to time don't really perhaps know what they are. So of course, diamond is separated into 2 categories. This was done in about the 1930s, and it's really very simply based on I describe them as type 1 is with nitrogen, type 2 is nitrogen poor, or having little or non-measurable nitrogen. So just to give you a quick view of what this would look like at the kind of atomic level and what we look at in a mid-infrared spectrum. So type 2 diamonds, very pure, just carbon. Type 2B, of course, the blue diamonds, well known, are with boron, so boron replacing the carbon. Type 1A, again, so we have nitrogen usually aggregated in pairs or in 3s or 4s. Type 1B, those are those real vivid, pure, sometimes known historically as canary diamonds. And this is structurally what again, they look like, and what the atomic structure looks like in each of these. So, moving on, again, carbon is this kind of isomorphous mineral. So in its most stable form, we have graphite, which you all know what that is. But when that is squeezed in a few hundred miles below the surface in the upper mantle, under great temperatures and pressures, this is where diamond is formed. And I give you a little bit of this as background so we can compare it with the environment for synthetic diamond. And it is those differences in growth conditions that make the identification possible. So as you know, synthetic diamond, it is diamond. It polishes like diamond. It has the same refractive index and essentially all the other properties. But it is these differences in growth conditions that we exploit to be able to identify it. So it's quite interesting. We hear a lot about CVD today, and the interesting thing is that it actually predated General Electric's famous discovery in 1955. The CVD was actually grown in 1954, but kind of had a dormant period for decades. Most of the technology and people like De Beers, General Electric, and others were focused on this high-pressure environment because they didn't really feel that they had to get close to the Earth's conditions to really produce diamond and grow it in good quality. And CVD, actually, as you see on the graph there, is actually grown at a pretty low temperature and at low pressure, so essentially just in a vacuum. And that was something that they didn't think could be done, and the real progress happened over the last 10 years where they were able to, by improving the technology, able to grow single crystal diamond, synthetic diamond, and to grow it larger. Now, again, a lot of the drive for this is they're not really interested in the gem and jewelry industry. They're the commercial applications, the technology. It's a great heat sink, so it distributes heat very well. And I think that's where we'll see most of the use. But of course, offshoot from that, there will be a good bit of it entering the market. This is what it looks like growing. So there's that kind of gas plasma cloud hovering over it, which is actually a feed source of carbon. All of those little platelets you see there, those little discs, are natural diamond seeds. And you can almost envision it as layers of snow, but falling on that and growing layer by layer. And so it's the carbon being deposited and oriented on that sample and growing. In part, I show you this because, again, this is a technology change and improvement. Just a few years ago, the rate of growth or the number of crystals you could grow was about 5 to 10. Now that's over 100 at one time. So clearly what this means is there will be more of it, and the price will be driven down. So it is a technology that you're hearing a lot more about. We're seeing some of these stones come into the lab, most of them, I must say, without disclosure. Just quickly, some of the things there, and I use this just as an example. I won't show you much more of this, but so this is a great help, a great signature of a fairly simple process that the natural diamond, so there's hydrogen present in both. Hydrogen is able to migrate into almost every mineral. But the great thing is that they're located in different positions. So this is great for us for identification standpoint, easy, except when you take a synthetic diamond and heat treat it to certain conditions, you can move that hydrogen band right to the exact same position as natural diamond. So that's why, as you can imagine, the ongoing research is important. I told you I'd only show you one of those, so I'll pass. There's been some discussion I had recently even with Shmuel about the synthetic diamond report that GIA issues. And I must say, it literally is a handful. Most of the synthetic diamonds that come to GIA are not coming in for a report, but those that are, I believe, are trying to be passed along as natural. But the reports themselves are quite distinct. I'm not sure how well you can see it. It's a different color. We use much coarser grading language, so we don't have DEF. It would just say colorless or near colorless, and the same with the clarity. The report is headed. It says synthetic. The conclusion says lab grown, and in the comment section it says it's a man-made diamond. So we're very, and we also inscribe the girdle of the stone. So we're driven to do this, and it was controversial. It was not popular even at GIA and outside of GIA when we decided to do this. But the point was that we really want to make sure to the public that there's no, they don't get these fuzzy words like cultured diamond, and we felt if we could control that language and get an accurate message to the consumer with clear language, that there would be less chance of confusion. In addition to that, I must say, for a selfish reason, and not to generate revenue, but to make sure that we would induce these stones so we could see when they were changing the formula a little bit. So as the diamonds evolved, we could continue to study them. So moving on, next category, research developments. So going back to my earlier point, I mentioned the difference that we try to exploit is really the growth structure. And without going into a lot of detail, I talked about the way that CVD grows and those layers and layers. Well, it has, under the right conditions, we can see that growth structure when excited with high energy light. But sometimes they've even been able to disguise that by changing the growth conditions. But we're going to using cathodoluminescence today, and it really helps. So you see on the bottom right, that's a very classic growth structure of CVD versus the upper left is classic natural. So we're able to, when these challenging stones are submitted, we're able to use this technique. Another technique that we're always worried again about progress and technology and improving, and heretofore I don't believe anybody in the industry or any research institute has even considered this. So our thought being, well, what if they're able to take that growth structure and take out some of those striations and make it look like natural? Of course, we talked about, when we were talking a little bit about the chemistry of diamond, it's carbon, so you need a feed source of carbon. So again, naturally, it of course comes, it's in the upper mantle. In the CVD chamber, they use methane gas. So what we have done some analysis on is studying those carbon isotopes from that feed source, and this is something that no one could get around. So we have kind of, I'll call it in our back pocket, this technique for the future, again, just to make sure that we will have this clear distinction. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, and Shmuel allow me to use that challenging word again. It was in China recently, and the 3 largest producers of synthetic diamond through high pressure, high temperature are located there. And mainly what they produce is on the left, that grit. They've now driven down the price of that to 10 cents a carat. They, some of the largest producer there, just to give you some scale, can produce 500 tons of this per year. With about 1,000 presses running around the clock. So what we have learned is that, so they sell it, as I said, for 10 cents a carat, but they're taking some of that press time, changing the formula some. It's more challenging. It's probably, when you factor in, try to get colorless, try to get it say about 2 millimeters in size, it might be at times a cost factor of 100 times, so maybe $10 a carat. But they're very clear they're selling this as much as they can produce into India today. So clearly we know that we have this significant challenge and concern. And again, I pointed out some of the research from the identification side that we are taking at GIA to make sure that we can make this distinction. The big investment that our board has supported, and it's really the first time I've talked about it publicly, GIA will be opening later this year its own diamond synthesis facility just outside of our office in New Jersey. So we'll be growing diamond. I'm hoping our first run will be in January now. And we're not really interested in selling diamonds or synthetic diamond, but the way we can best understand these challenges and what can be done and what the next thing is for us to do this. This is a multi-million-dollar investment that we're making, but again, and outside of element 6, they're really the only other group, of course, that's supporting De Beers or somebody in the industry to do this. New services. I'm going to jump to, I'm mindful of your time and appreciate you sitting through this, but new services. We're, Matt and his team are working on an RFID integration system. And before I go into detail, the concept is, and Shmuel talked about our expansion here, we just expanded in Botswana, just opened. We're just finishing an expansion in, of course, moved into new space in New York last year. We have an expansion going on in India today. Now, some of you, and maybe rightfully so, would say he must be crazy, the market's not that good. But as I said earlier, we've had times like this, and we're looking forward to growing our way out of this. And we want to make sure that we partner with all of you, that we have very predictable services going forward. I want to transform this service reputation that we've had for many years, that I say to my team, and Matt, I'm sure he's tired of me hearing it, I want to become like FedEx, that we are that predictable. So part of that process will be going kind of upstream to our customer and tagging their inventory in the manufacturing process so we have visibility coming in. And we're piloting this already with a few clients. We'll intend to do more of it next year. So there will be a number of supply chain management, inventory control, asset tracking, but really the bottom line is bringing efficiency and predictability to our process. We clearly have overcapacity. The board has approved, continues to support. We're continuing to hire and train graders, and we will be doing that in 2016. The goal is for you to have, as times improve, you just say how many and when, and we deliver. And this will be a utility in that. I guess a month or so ago, we introduced the small stone service, all digital. We really think that this is, especially looking at I wish I could say I relate to them, but millennial generation who are much more comfortable dealing with things in a digital way. It allows us to drive the price down a good bit more. There's a self-printing option that the client or the jeweler can handle, and can exercise. And I think it makes obviously the movement and trading, and when you think of those of you holding inventory with reports and shipping costs for reports, et cetera, again, it's part of our initiative to drive down costs lower and lower. And also this initiative in particular to address a concern if with synthetic stones, we've tried to create a surface that it's more feasible to submit stones in that range. This is kind of a self-print little report that people can make, even a consumer can go online, and a little label that would travel with the stones. Last service that we're working on and also will be piloting next year is we've been in discussion with a number of the producers. So basically being able to track those stones from using the famous cliche, the mine to market. But part of this is, and it may seem like a contradiction coming from me, from GIA, there's more to the story than the 4 C's. And we really want to help tell that story and get that to the consumer, both to create interest and I think ultimately, I think with the exciting stories, hopefully will result in margin also. So again, we talked about the technology as part of it, this differentiation. You know, today, especially with a younger generation, the discretional options for spending, talk more about this experience of diamond. So there's these great historic mines. They're well sourced. They're to remove this perception. We just saw a Time magazine article the other day, and we really have to go more on the offensive. And I think GIA is well positioned to do this. And I think there are many in the industry who now see this as a valuable way forward. So this is something we'll be over the next year or so working and integrating in as a new service. We feel like we're really in the right place in the market to do it by the expansion of our locations around the world and in key producing locations. Again, we're talking about being able to do this in a very fast and low-cost way. And we are also, GIA, fortunate to have a good connection in educating the jeweler and the consumer. So we're, I think, right in the right place to help make this work. Last thing, I just talked about this challenge with the small diamonds. Again, our research team is, I think you read about something new all the time, but later this year we will be taking delivery of our first really very high-speed screening for small stones. And I think I'll just kind of leave it at that now, but it will do multiple things, not just screening for natural and synthetic. And we expect sometime in 2016 to have the capacity to do 200,000 to 400,000 small stones per day. So basically to be able to do what is ever necessary to protect the integrity of natural diamond. And I can assure you it will be done at a price that will not will easily fit into the business.
What is small stone? Which size?
From about 1 millimeter to 3.5 millimeters. So we're talking about 1 point or slightly less to about 20 points.
We would like to be the first.
There will be one here in Israel, I can assure you, that just to give you some ballpark, just on a normal business day, we're predicting about 10,000. We could put through 10,000 stones with one machine in an 8-hour day. So, in closing with all the gloomy news, being in a position where seems like every day there's a new challenge, technical challenge to deal with. I like to remind myself why I do this and why you guys are all here today. And again, I credit Antwerp, New York, and in Israel, and we have India, is it here also? Or doing steps like this. We can't passively sit back to make things better. And I remember the stone. I was reflecting on it when I was going through my slides the other day, and remembered Fataihi bought this, I think, for about $16 million. And you know, you look at a stone like this in these gloomy times, and you say, "Wow, it's a stone like this today would be probably 50% more than that today." It's so beautiful, and it's really, I think, what keeps all of us, I think, doing what we're doing. So I'll leave you with this, and I wish you the very best for a successful trading week, and I commend you again for getting together and driving the business. Thank you very much.
Can I just ask you?